Hi everyone, it's Carol from Tapping Into Sleep, and today I wanted to do some tapping on the guilt we might feel when we do something good or nice for ourselves. So the guilt of doing self-care. Before we get into the tapping, why don't you click on the disclaimer link below, go give that a read, and then come back here and do some tapping. All right, so this is what happened to me a few weeks ago. I made a decision that I was going to go for a massage once a month. And so this was month two, and I go get my massage. And as I'm like leaving here and I'm leaving work behind, and I have a list to do and all this stuff, I'm feeling guilty, feeling really guilty to one, take the time for myself, and two, like, I don't have aches and pains in my body. So why am I going to get a massage? Right. And the reason that I go for a massage is because I know that for me, that's a form of self care. I get to lay there for an hour and just relax, and as I say all the time, if we don't process our day, if we don't do activities that are really good activities to help us de stress, the stress usually shows up in the middle of the night. I had someone recently, when I gave a presentation about sleep, say, well, I woke up through the night last night and I couldn't get back to sleep. And when I asked, well, what were you thinking about? She said, oh, yeah, my bank reconciliation report that I was working on all day, I ended up waking me up at night. And really, if she would have taken some time to like sit with, oh, yes, that was hard. Yeah, that was a lot of work, but I'm so proud I've done it. Maybe it wouldn't have woken her up at night. And so my massage story is a way for me to make sure that I stop during the day. Once a month, I go for a massage. I do a lot of other things, but that was the one thing that I committed to. So what did I do? So I want you to just tune in to a time where you took some self-care or you did some self-care, that you went and got a massage, or maybe what you did is went for a walk by yourself, or maybe you decided that you're going to take a weekend away from the kids, whatever that might be. And I want you to tune into that time that you chose to put you first and went and did some self-care. And now I want you to tune into the guilt of that. And if there's no guilt, good job. But if there is guilt, let's do some tapping for it, right? So when I think of going for my massage, my guilt at the time was probably a 10. I did some think tapping while I was there and it reduced the guilt. But just for now, I want you to write down your number of the guilt for doing some self-care, and then pick a specific event. Like, what was it that you did? Like for me, it's going for that massage. And then I want you to tune into your body, right? I want you to feel. It's in my throat again. It always shows up in my throat for me every time I have an emotion. So where is it showing up in your body? And let's do a round of tapping on that for you. So even though I made the decision and I went for that massage a few weeks ago, feeling this guilt in my throat, I deeply and completely accept that this is who I am. And even though I made the decision and I went for my massage a few weeks ago, just remembering that massage, I'm still feeling some of that guilt that's showing up in my throat right now. I deeply and completely accept who I am. And even though feeling this guilt in my throat, because I took the time to go for my massage a few weeks ago, I deeply and completely accept who I am. So feeling this guilt in my throat. Yeah, feeling this guilt in my throat. 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 Yeah, because I decided to go have a massage a few weeks ago. Feeling this guilt for having done some self-care for myself. All right, I want you to sit with that. And so, yeah, it's really like showing up in my throat right now, but I want you to sit with the guilt feeling. When you think about, for me, going for that massage, but when you think about the specific event that you went to, right? So 0 to a 10, the guilt is down. Number that pops in my mind is a 5. So always go with the number that pops in your mind. Don't question it. Just go with it. So still a 5. It's still in my throat. So now I'm going to ask the question, like, the guilt because of what, right? What makes me feel guilty about having taken the time to go for a massage? And now the thoughts are coming up as you had so much to do that day. So it made it that there was things on my to-do list I didn't get to. I also know that I just felt guilty because it was like, it wasn't okay to take time for myself. Even though I do it all the time, that day was really strong. So guilt is still at a 5. It's still in my throat. And I just have a few more words to add. So now that you've written down your information on your paper, let's do another round of tapping to see if we can't get that guilt down. And I want to really put in here that we're not tapping on the guilt for every time we have gone and done something. That's why I'm focusing on the guilt of going for that massage. I don't want to bring up the guilt from every time I've ever done something for myself. That's just too much and too big to tap on. So just the guilt about going for that massage, or for you for going for that walk, or for whatever reason, okay? So even though I'm still feeling some guilt in my throat because I went for that massage, and I took some time for me, I deeply and completely accept that I did that. And even though I am still feeling some guilt in my throat because I went for that massage and took some time for me, I acknowledge that I needed that time. And even though I still feel this guilt and it just moved to my chest, because I took that time to go for my massage, I acknowledge that I needed that time. And let's go through the points. But I'm feeling this guilt in my chest. Yeah, because I took that time for me. There were so many other things I needed to get done that day. But I chose me instead. And that brings up this feeling of guilt. Brings up the feeling of guilt because in society, we are not taught to take care of ourselves first. As a mom, I always had to put my kids first. And that's okay because they needed me when they were little. But I'm feeling this guilt because even though no one needed me that day, I created this belief that I shouldn't go take care of myself. There was a part of me that believed I shouldn't be taking care of myself. That I should get everything on my to-do list done first. But we all know that we need to put our own oxygen mask on first. By doing our self-care, we make sure that we have the energy to give to other people. So even though I feel guilty, I recognize the fact that I needed that massage that day. And that it's okay to take care of me first. Oh, and the thought popping into my mind right now is, and because I had the massage, because I took care of me first, like the next day, like I got so much work done, way more than if I wouldn't have taken the time for me, right? All right, so now that I've got this positive energy popping up, let's tap on that, right? It felt amazing to take care of me that day. It felt amazing to recognize that I needed the self-care. And it felt even more amazing that I chose to go every 3 weeks now instead of every 4. Yeah, I made some decisions that day that it was okay for me to take care of me first. And that by doing so, then I have so much more to give to others. It feels good that I took care of me that day. All right, I want you to put your hands on your heart. I want you to tune into that guilt about your specific reason or your event that we're tapping on. For me, like when I think of the guilt of going for that massage that day, I had done some tapping on it that day too, but now there was more that showed up. And that happens. Sometimes we might tap on something once and we have to tap again because there's other reasons why the guilt is showing up, right? Like on that day, I felt guilty, but now I had a different reason for the guilt to show up today. But I do recognize the fact that we do need to take care of ourselves. And by taking care of ourselves, then we sleep better, we're able to serve others better, we're better moms, we're better partners, we're better employees, we're better employers. It's so huge, it's so big to take care of ourselves. So if you have guilt about self-care, do this video over and over and it will help you. So that's it for today. If you have any questions and you need to reach out to me, just to Carol at tappingintosleep.com and I'd love to speak with you. Okay, bye.